Let's talk about how and why your bowels are likely making you sick. It's become clear that the composition of your bowel flora, the many trillions of microbes living in your gastrointestinal tract, play a major role in how you feel, the kinds of thoughts you entertain, your physical health, your emotional health, the quality of your sleep, your level of anxiety, so many aspects of behavior and physical health. So disruptions of bowel flora are very common for a variety of reasons. It could be because you were delivered via C-section rather than a vaginal birth, or that you were not breastfed long enough by your mom when you were an infant, or that you got multiple courses of antibiotics as a child for inner ear infections, or antibiotics as an adult for some other infection, or you were exposed to glyphosate in grains, in corn, soy, and also in wheat. And that's a major, even though it's an herbicide, it's also a potent antibiotic. So we're exposed to numerous factors. That's just a partial list. We're exposed to numerous factors in modern life that disrupt our intestinal microbiome. And this shows up in a whole long list of ways, such as gastrointestinal diseases like irritable bowel syndrome, ulcerative colitis, Crohn's disease, acid reflux, esophagitis, gallstones, biliary cancer, autoimmune pancreatitis, autoimmune hepatitis, fatty liver. It also shows up as autoimmune diseases like rheumatoid arthritis and Hashimoto's thyroiditis and polymyalgia rheumatica. It also can show up as a neurodegenerative disorder like Parkinson's disease or Lou Gehrig's disease or even Alzheimer's dementia. Disruptions of bowel flora can show up as a metabolic distortion, metabolic diseases. Most common is type 2 diabetes, prediabetes, hypertension, hypertriglyceridemia, fatty liver, and many others. Disruptions of bowel flora can even lead to or add to the risk for coronary disease, heart attacks, and the need to undergo stent implantation and bypass surgery. One of the effects of dysbiosis or disrupted bowel flora is an exaggeration, for instance, of small LDL particles, lower HDL, higher triglycerides, higher VLDL that contributes to coronary risk. So these disruptions of bowel flora can show up in a variety of different ways. It could be a simple dysbiosis, disruption of the species of bowel flora in your colon, where maybe there's a loss of some healthy species like Lactobacillus reuteri and a proliferation of unhealthy species like E. coli or Campylobacter. It can take on the form of small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, or SIBO, in which healthy species have been suppressed and unhealthy species have proliferated, those same species like E. coli, Campylobacter, Citrobacter, Pseudomonas, and many others, and have ascended up the entire length of the gastrointestinal tract to 24 feet of ileum, jejunum, duodenum, and stomach. Now, that means trillions of bacteria in this situation called SIBO are living and dying. They live and die only for a few hours. Their life cycle is very brief. So there's trillions of microbes being turned over, living and dying in your gastrointestinal tract. Part of SIBO is also an increase in intestinal permeability because these microbes also gain entry into the bloodstream because they erode the mucus lining of the small intestine. And the mucus lining of the small intestine is weaker than the mucus lining of the colon. So when bacteria have managed to claw their way up into the small bowel, they get ready access into your bloodstream. And that leads to a very critical process called endotoxemia or metabolic endotoxemia. What that means is bacterial breakdown products, living and dying very rapidly, trillions of them, release their byproducts into the bloodstream. This is a critical discovery made in 2004 in France because it tells us just how an intestinal process can export its effects to the skin as rosacea or psoriasis, to the joints and muscle as fibromyalgia, to the legs as restless leg syndrome. In other words, 30 feet of bacteria are able to export their effects to virtually every organ of the body, and it counts for so many human diseases. And there's also a parallel condition called SIFO, or small intestinal fungal overgrowth. I don't think it's quite as prevalent as SIBO, but it's still quite prevalent. About 60% or more of people with SIBO also have SIFO, so those two often occur together. Now, the symptoms of SIFO are very similar to that of SIBO: eczema, other skin rashes, food intolerances, sugar cravings, etc. But if you embark on a SIBO management program, we now also include some fungal management efforts also. Now, there's been a game changer in the world of SIBO, at least the hydrogen gas producing variety. So 90% of all SIBO is due to species that produce hydrogen gas. That is, when you consume a prebiotic fiber like inulin or the prebiotic fibers in some legumes like white beans or black beans, or some jicama or onions or garlic, anything that has prebiotic fiber content. You ingest that, and you can now test it in the comfort of your home with this new device. It's about a year old, been out about a year, called an AIRE device, AIRE, made by the Food Marble Company. Now, I have no relationship with that company. It just happened to be a very cool device. But the odd thing is, this device was invented by a PhD engineer, Dr. Angus Short, in Dublin, Ireland, and he invented it because he saw his girlfriend struggling with her irritable bowel syndrome and trying to navigate what's called a low FODMAPs diet. That is a diet low in fermentable oligosaccharides, disaccharides, monosaccharides, and polyols. Essentially a diet low in sugar and prebiotic fibers. So it's been shown by an Australian group that if you cut back on FODMAPs intake, the symptoms of irritable bowel syndrome are reduced. By the way, that does nothing for the actual disease itself. It still continues. But what I recognized was this is not just a device for navigating a low FODMAPs diet. It is a device to detect hydrogen gas for SIBO. Now, SIBO is often misinterpreted. It's often regarded as food intolerances, whether it's FODMAPs, nightshades, fructose, sorbitol, nuts, eggs, soy, all these food intolerances or food intolerances identified by blood work. These are all actually SIBO. And you can use this device to test for hydrogen gas, and it'll tell you whether you have SIBO or not in the comfort of your kitchen. Because if you ask your doctor, Doc, I think I have SIBO, the doctor will say, I don't know what you're talking about, that's stupid, there's no such thing, don't waste my time. Or worse, I don't know what that is, I'm going to send you to a gastroenterologist. The gastroenterologist, of course, performs the obligatory upper endoscopy and colonoscopy, and it says, good news, you don't have a stomach ulcer, don't have stomach cancer, don't have colon cancer, goodbye. You say, wait a minute, what about my question about SIBO? Same thing, don't waste my time, I don't know what that is, it's stupid, did you consult Dr. Google? Or at the very most, hand you a prescription for the antibiotic rifaximin. Doesn't tell you how you got this condition, doesn't tell you how to increase the efficacy of the antibiotic, because it only works 60% of the time, how to prevent very frequent recurrences. In other words, you got a very partial answer from someone who barely understands what they're doing. So we now have a consumer device. You blow into this after consuming a prebiotic fiber, it registers on your smartphone, and it tells you 0 to 10 whether you have a SIBO or not. Maybe positive starts at 4, 6, 7, 8, definitely positive, 9, 10, absolutely positive. And so you can use this device to identify SIBO, and then you can use it to track the success of your antibiotic effort. You can use it to detect recurrences, because recurrence of SIBO is a big problem. Now, if you think you've got it, and you want to know how to use this properly, because the instructions provided by the Food Marble Company are only for FODMAPs. So we have our own protocol we use in the Undoctored program. We also have our own protocol for management of SIBO, self-management of SIBO. You don't need your doctor to do these things. In fact, you can do a far better job than a doctor ever could. That's a more complicated process. If you're interested, join my conversations in my Undoctored Inner Circle. We go through all this sort of thing. This is also more effective, attacking all these conditions in the context of having done the basic prescriptive programs I advocate. That is, wheat and grain elimination and sugar elimination, vitamin D restoration, magnesium, omega-3 fatty acids, iodine, thyroid optimization, and then basic efforts to cultivate healthy bowel flora that may lead to SIBO, SIFO management as well. The basic program is detailed in my newest book, the revised and expanded edition of Wheat Belly. But if you think you got SIBO and SIFO because you've got some autoimmune condition, a neurodegenerative condition, type 2 diabetes, can't lose weight, fatty liver, any of those conditions I listed earlier, join our conversations and we can show you how to put this device and other insights into work to eliminate those conditions.